Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 4 of the Positive Perception GT series on Assetto Corsa Competizione. Welcome back to the second half of the season. It's hard to believe, but we are already into the second half, and this round is coming from one of the mightiest racetracks in the world, Francorchamps. Now, I'm joined this week not by my regular co-commentator, McRae Williams, but by a new face and one that will be familiar in these parts. Welcome, Adam Bent.
Good evening, Toby. How are you?
I'm very well and very much looking forward to this one. Now, before we kind of talk about the field, let's address the elephant in the room. You are normally out on track in these series. We've commentated on your progress many a time.
Yes.
Why is it that you've chosen to swap the wheel for the microphone tonight?
Well, I feel like the gravel traps at Spa had enough to deal with the 24 hours last week, so, you know, jumping off the simulated world for a couple days, just, you know, relaxing and enjoying my summer before I get back to doing my university work, so, yeah.
Well, it is a pleasure to have you in the box. McRae Williams sadly unavailable this week, but we are very much looking forward to sharing this experience with you, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Spa-Francorchamps. You mentioned there recently held in real life the Spa 24 Hours, which was an eventful race.
Eventful to say the least, yes, indeed.
We've only got 1 hour tonight as opposed to 24, but still expecting a lot of action. And the main reason for that, the main talking point, let's get straight to it, is going to be the weather. We have no idea what the weather's going to do. In practice, it has been doing all sorts of things. Have you been on practicing? Have you seen all conditions?
I haven't, but I've been talking with obviously most of the guys from Celtic Bromance. Obviously, have a good friendship with them. And yeah, they were saying how they've been on quite a few times for practice, and it's been torrential to say the least. Obviously, the great thing about computer games is you never actually know what you're gonna get when you set it to random until you actually get there. So these guys will be completely unaware of what the conditions will be for qualifying and indeed the race.
Yeah, as are we. We've got no insider knowledge, so we are fully prepared for all conditions. I'm sat here with my sun cream and my raincoat, typical British summer. But I mean, the interesting thing is that this round actually there is no mandatory pit stop. This is one of the few rounds that is tabled as a lights to flag. But of course, that could all change if the rain falls.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, everybody's going to be thinking, right, what happens if? And if you don't, and you get caught off guard, say, you know, the race starts at 20 degrees and lovely sunny weather, and then about half an hour in, you're sat in a downpour, it's then you've got to make that decision. Obviously, Spa being one of the longest circuits, you know, raced in the world, you know, you're going to be stuck midway around a track, which is just going to get wetter and wetter, and then you've got to make that call of, do I come in this lap, or do I risk it for another?
Yes, indeed. And as you say, it's not only a long track, but so high speed as well, that any lack of adhesion, any sort of drop-off in grip around some of those high-speed corners is going to make life very, very challenging for any cars that stay out there on slicks.
Absolutely. I mean, slicks on this track in certain cars aren't even the easiest to control. But yeah, as soon as the weather changes and it starts becoming that little bit more slippy, you can expect to see the higher powered cars, you know, the heavier ones, start to lose a lot more grip.
Yeah, now I've not got too much experience in ACC. As you know, I prefer things low-powered and slidey, and
Yes,
these cars are
absolutely.
definitely not that. But I've been on other sims where when the rain comes down, some people do chance it and stay out on slicks, the sort of the wet weather wizards that can get away with it on other sims.
Yeah.
Is that really feasible on
Um,
ACC, or are slicks a no-go?
well, the game is modelled to pretty much emulate real life, and I think for the most part it does very, very well. If you look back, a while back actually, this was probably at the beginning of the year, I infamously won around at Brands Hatch on dry tyres with that with the intermediate rain coming in. But yeah, I think you can last, depending on the amount of rain coming down, on a set of dry tyres for maybe another 5-10 minutes. Quite famously, obviously, GT racers will stay out if it's only a quick downpour, or obviously in club racing even. If you're out on slicks and it's a quick downpour, you won't come back in because you know the track won't get wet enough in time to obviously make the wet tyres activate and work properly.
Yes, indeed. And I think it's, I mean, we're talking about the rain. It might not come. It would be a massive anticlimax if we built up the weather and then the rain
Oh yeah,
doesn't come. But,
absolutely. I mean, Formula One do it
um,
all the time, so
oh, yes, I mean, well, that's one of the only interesting things that happens in Formula One these days, is it
I
not?
don't know. The past few races have been very climactic.
They have,
But,
they have. Do it a disservice.
yeah,
But I mean, if the rain does come, it obviously it depends when it comes and for how long. Because if it comes, if it's, let's say, dry at the start and then it rains mid-race, if that rain does start to fall in the last 5 minutes, then people will obviously opt to stay out and could make for a very interesting end to the race. But any other point in the race, it may well cause quite a few strategic decisions to be made on the fly.
absolutely,
And I think the outcome of this race could well be decided on who makes the right sort of split-second decision.
absolutely. Obviously, adversely, we're talking about rain from midway through the race, but it could be the complete opposite way. You know, it could start with absolute downpour, and then about 20 minutes in, it gets absolutely dry. That
Ah,
causes
very true,
jump
very
off of
true.
wet tyres when the track's going to dry slowly but surely. I mean, we have 26 cars on the grid currently, so that track will dry very quickly. Then you've got to make that sudden call of, do I jump back in for, dry tyres, or do I try and stick it out on this set of wet tyres that are just going to lose grip and lose time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we speculate. We'll wait and see what the conditions actually
Yeah.
are. But in the meantime, let's take a look at how the championship standings are in both GT3 and GT4. Because as I say, at the midway point in the season now, and we've got some interesting stories to talk about, particularly in GT3.
Well, obviously the key focus here is that we have a championship leader currently 19 points clear at the top. However, due to incidents in the previous race, he's not going to be here tonight. So Remy Papin, the championship leader in GT3, will not be racing tonight. This allows obviously drivers behind him such as Ryan Rees, Simon Wilkes, Jonathan. I don't know if Jonathan Seville is here tonight.
No,
But
it's Jonathan
yeah,
Seville, another driver who's missing.
absolutely. But obviously, you look a bit further down, you've got Ryan Rees, Sam Wilkes, Kiki Mack, and his brother Callum McGough. Obviously, they're all fairly still easily could catch him. You know, they could have one good race here, and that immediately then puts them back up into the championship fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the intriguing things about this league, whether intentional or not, is that every race we seem to have a different set of drivers attending at the top anyway, and that's made for a championship battle that's really close between some of the guys like, Remy Papin, Jonathan Seville, Ash Knight. We've got in there as well race winners
Yeah,
who don't attend every round. And then you've got the likes of Ryan Rees and Simon Wilkes, who are quick, but they've not taken a podium so far, or at least they
absolutely
might.
not.
Certainly
Um,
not on stream. I think Ryan might have got one
I think
when we
Ryan,
when we
yeah,
weren't covering.
I think Ryan may have got one that week, but it's more interesting to see, the drivers that definitely like Cal. I know Callum hasn't had a podium, but he sat in fifth, joint on points for Kiki Mack, who also hasn't taken a podium. Just a good race, all you have to do to get up there in the standings is have a good
Mm.
race. That's the great thing about GT racing. The points
And
are laid out.
this is a golden opportunity, isn't it,
Absolutely.
today? But particularly with the championship leader missing.
Mm.
GT4, on the other hand, is much more straightforward. in a way. It is still just as close.
Yeah, absolutely. We look at the standings in GT4. Obviously, we've got Richard Pixley at the top, Mark in second, Colin in third, Jake Mills in fourth, who missed round one, and I believe
Yeah,
has won
Jake's
both
been
2 rounds since.
outstanding since. So he's very much playing catch up. We've got Anthony Brown as well. Certain Mr. Adam Bent sitting in joint fifth. So obviously sacrificing that excellent standing in the championship to come and shout about cars with
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. But you look at this grid, and you got Lisa in eighth. I believe the only female on the grid. Hopefully she's joining us tonight. I haven't seen her on the server just yet, but I'm hoping she is joining us tonight. I had a brilliant battle with her at Silverstone the other week, and a lot of these drivers. Trev Hummer has only done 1 round. I'm not sure what's happened to Sibrin. A lot of these drivers are really good drivers. They just miss rounds, and then all of a sudden, obviously, their championship leads a cup.
Yeah, so we will be watching out for that. So the drivers have been in a briefing, and I know the topic of the briefing is always the same. It's always the blue flags is a big issue, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Particularly GT3, GT4 coming togethers, which should never happen, but sadly sometimes do, is a topic of debate, and I'm sure that will have been mentioned again in the briefing.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always been under the assumption of, as a slower car, I'm going to just get out of the way. I don't really feel like, even if it's a single driver, battles happen all the time on a track. You look at Formula 1, and obviously you get certain moments where it's harder to get past a blue flag car, or you look at GT racing in general. I feel like you've got to have that gentlemanly agreement to realise when you should get out of the way. Because say it's a leader, say it's, somebody that you're not fighting in a championship or have no chance of fighting, i.e. a GT3 versus a GT4, in no way should you really impede their lap or get in their way, knowing that it's going to compromise both races and potentially cost you even more points.
Yeah, well, I think one of the drivers who can tell us quite a bit about that is, of course, the series organizer Mark Roddenberry, who is a GT4 racer himself and well up there in the GT4 championship. I think we're just about ready to go trackside now, but I know
absolutely.
Mark does like to pop in whilst the GT3s are out qualifying. So if we'll bring him in and maybe quiz him a little bit on that very topic.
As soon as they go live for qualifying, we want to be.
Oh, they're not quite out.
They're not quite out yet.
Jump the gun a little bit.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the circuit. We've got things playing in the background. Sorry, I do apologise about that.
Well, it's just whilst we wait to get up to speed then. So, yeah, the incident with Remy Papin in the last race at Silverstone, that was a contentious one, and I can remember seeing that live and wondering which way the stewards would decide. They've penalised Remy, and we're in this situation now where obviously our GT3 championship leader is missing. But I'm sure he will be watching. I mean, the big threats really to his leader, Ryan Rees and Simon Wilkes.
Absolutely.
So
big news is raining.
It's raining.
It's raining.
It's raining. I can't see a screen, so you'll have
1 second.
to.
It's coming.
There we go.
There we go.
Right, so we are live for qualifying, and the rain is falling. Now, if you're a GT4 runner, you must have your head in your hands at the moment, because you're seeing the track in a certain condition, and now the GT3 guys are heading out on track. And as a GT4 runner, you're sitting there thinking, this is just going to get wetter and wetter.
Absolutely. It's about to kick off lovely, and this is going to be the chance for cars like the Aston Martin, the cars that normally wouldn't actually outpace Ferraris and the Lexus down the straights. All of a sudden they come into their own here because the wet weather allows them to catch a lot easier.
We're delighted to be joined by the series organiser himself, Mark Roddenberry. Welcome to the commentary box, Mark.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me once again.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, we thought it might be. It started wet. Your thoughts?
Oh, we were sat there and just doing the brief just now. The game time for the brief is 3 p.m. And on the little graphic at the top, it said 10 minutes time, dry, 30 minutes time, little trickle of rain. And that was a case of everyone just scrambling after the brief to go and find that wet setup that they haven't prepared. It's going to be interesting, especially with the GT4s out last. It's going to be a wet. It's only damp at the moment, so you could get away with slicks, but you'd be a very brave man to try it.
Yeah, I guess by the time the GT4s head out, slicks may be something of an ambitious gamble.
I have all wet tyres all round.
Yeah, this is a real opportunity for potentially a bit of a mixed up grid. If people maybe mess up their first lap and then all of a sudden they come round in the second lap it's much wetter, we could see some drivers a little bit out of position on the grid, which will of course make things interesting when the race gets underway.
It's going to make it completely open. There's going to be the wet weather specialists, there's going to be the dry weather specialists. In terms of the GT3 grid, I've got no idea who's a wet weather specialist. I've got no idea who's a dry weather specialist.
We're about to find out.
Oh, absolutely. We're about to find out indeed. As obviously everybody now slowly makes their way around to start their qualifying laps. We can luckily bring up just the GT3 drivers here, so I can see who is where. If it wants to let me. There we go. So, Alistair Pollock, lovely looking car to be fair. I have got to say, one of my favourite on the grid. With that chrome, like, lower layer. It's very nice.
They're all beautiful looking cars. Every single one,
absolutely.
especially the ones I painted.
It's very difficult to make a GT3 car look ugly, I feel.
I mean, I think it's possible. Absolutely is possible, but
there are some great liveries at the same time.
Oh, absolutely,
I consider that challenge accepted, Toby. I will endeavour to make a really ugly car just for you.
Oh, that will be the first ugly positive perception livery I will have ever seen, Mark. So
definitely.
Just whilst we've got you here, Mark, a quick word actually on blue flags, because Adam and I were discussing that during the build-up. We know it's been a much discussed issue in the league in the first few rounds, but in the rain round Spa, this is going to make it even more of a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's certainly been the most contentious issue we've had. We implemented this blue flag rule after chatting to a couple of real life black pan drivers, as well as drivers up and down the motorsport world. It is a bit contentious. We probably will be reviewing it with a bit of feedback from all of the drivers we've been speaking to. We've got some good ideas for the next season that we do. But yeah, the GT3s, they're just going to have patience here, massively so. Same as we saw at Silverstone, there was a lot of good patience.
Because they should be quicker on the straight, shouldn't they? But obviously the rain throws a bit of a curveball.
You say that. The top speed I was getting with the top speed I've seen Colin Dunn do with the McLaren GT4, 155, I believe it was. Top speed of the Porsche 911 GT3, 157.
That's interesting. Oh, big sideways.
Big slide. Oh, and he loses it. Unfortunate at the top of Eau Rouge. Hopefully he will get out of the way safely. There we go, lovely and safely.
Thought he caught that, but not quite, no.
We're going to just jump through the grid. There we go. Happy Al, or I believe Alistair Baldwin. There we go, yeah.
Yes, and I mean the benchmark time that's been put down by Simon Wilkes, that's going to take some beating, isn't it? 2:27.9 in the wet. That's a benchmark, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's a seriously good wet position. That's an amazing wet weather time. It really is.
Do you reckon he was on slicks for that one?
I mean,
possibly.
It would be possible. I think there's not going to be enough time for the track to get wet enough for full wets, I don't think, but that's because they've had a chance to warm their tyres up on that damp track.
It'd be interesting to go on board and see, but I think he's on wets.
But for those of you who watch our stream regularly, we do have a slightly extended qualifying session today, just due to the length of the track, I think, isn't it, Mark? That everyone's got a little bit of extra time to get their laps in.
Yeah, because obviously Spa's one of the longer tracks. 2 minutes 20 is your sort of average lap for an average GT3 driver, and 2 minute 34 is that's my all-time quickest for a GT4. So it's a long old track. So we thought, right, we'll add an extra 5 minutes. So it's essentially an extra lap for everyone.
More interesting, only 5 drivers with just under 3 minutes left. Only 5 drivers actually set laps.
Yeah, now we have seen a couple of drivers going wide, which is obviously very easy to do in these wet conditions and invalidating their lap time. So discretion may be the better part of valour here for drivers needing to get any time on the board, rather than necessarily going for their absolute quickest, although no one's told Simon Wilkes that.
No, absolutely not. He looks to probably go faster here. Oh no, that may be the cut he was dreading there. It's Kiki Mack, there we go.
And Ash Cutman straight into second place as well. Now the times are tumbling as drivers set their laps. We've got a yellow flag somewhere on the course, which means someone has gone wide somewhere.
See if we can find them, or if they've jumped back to the pits. I believe it was Kiki.
So Alex Baldwin is now sort of tumbling through the field, having set that initial lap time. Will he get a chance for another one before he needs to peel back into the pits for the GT4 runners?
It's going to be very interesting because these guys, as they finish their laps, obviously, fortunately, the way the pit lane here is that these guys should really not impede on any GT4's outlap. Hopefully it should be fairly clean. However, if somebody does hit the just over the 15-second mark as they come out of the pits, or as they cross the line here, GT4s could really impede that lap.
We've actually just discussed that in the brief, and we made a very last-minute change. At 12 minutes and 40 left of qualifying, that is when the GT3 cutoff is. GT4s cannot go out until 12 minutes 10.
Very interesting.
Okay, so GT4s have less time than the GT3s. Is that because there's just fewer of them?
Basically, yeah. There's fewer, and there's not really as crowded a track.
Only 9
I'm just
drivers.
staring at the track map, and it's quite a mental track map.
A total of 26 runners in the field today. Slightly reduced numbers from what we saw at Silverstone, although we know that some drivers aren't able to make every round. So we are slightly down on some numbers. But yeah, hope to see that back above 30 for the final couple of rounds this season.
It'd be great to see the grid back up to full strength for the last 2 or 3 rounds, I believe it is.
2 rounds left.
2 rounds, yeah, indeed. Nürburgring and then Misano.
Misano, which is a dusk to night event.
Which is going to be very, very interesting, I think.
Yes. No pit stop either for that one.
Oh, joys. But yeah, as we slowly get towards the end, well, I believe last 2, maybe 3 if they're starting their laps now of qualifying.
Yeah, everyone should get one more lap in.
Half the GT3 drivers have set laps. Obviously, Stephen Wilkes still at the top. I believe he's improved.
Big name down there's Ryan Rees.
Yeah.
He hasn't managed to set a time yet, so we'll be watching his with interest.
See if we can find him. We've got to go through a few drivers first. There we go. There he is.
He's just about to cross the line. So, is this a valid lap time? Has he stayed within those track limits? And can he put a time on the board?
Oh,
the
very
answer is yes.
interesting.
And he goes third.
So interesting.
He'll be satisfied with that, but he'll be pushing to go quicker now in his final lap. But at least he's got time on the board.
So interestingly, it's obviously Wilkes at the top with 2 Aston Martins at the front, a Bentley second, and a Lexus third. And then majority of the top 6 is all British manufacturers, minus the Lexus.
And all 5 Porsches have spun on every lap so far. haven't put a time.
There we go, there's a time.
Robert Sansai gets the first Porsche lap time in.
There we go. That's brilliant. Oh, there we go. Everybody's slowly getting a time now. So, Lindsay, Pollock and Daraju yet to set times. Coupland just within a second of Wilkes, which means Wilkes' lap time must have been incredibly tidy.
He's gone quicker, hasn't he? So
he has gone quicker since, yes.
He's taken another half second off that already immense lap time. So Simon Wilkes really setting out his stall early on here.
I believe if we look at the timetable, there we go. So you can see, astonishing lap time that.
Quickest in all 3 sectors. Yeah.
It's an incredible lap time there.
Okay, well, Mark, I am conscious of the time. We will probably
Yeah.
need to bid you farewell, so you can get yourself ready to head out on track. We wish you the best of luck.
Best of luck.
Yeah,
Take it
Catch
easy,
you
buddy.
again.
thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, interestingly, he didn't seem very worried. Perhaps, obviously, very confident in his car and his ability to keep this, well, I believe what is quite a Larry BMW on the track.
Well, I think not every driver has put a wet setup together for this track, whereas Mark has been practicing in the wet. So, not that he knew what it was going to do, because of course it's random weather, but I think he had feared for the worst and prepared accordingly. Whereas I think a couple of other drivers, this might be the first time they're actually running in the wet.
Interestingly, as well, the game actually offers pre-built wet setups. I've never had to test one, so I don't know how good they work, but the game does offer pre-built wet setups. So I believe the GT4s should now be filtering their way out onto the circuit. So
yes, and Ryan Rees has stayed out, hasn't he?
He's gone second.
He's gone second, but
2:26.8. Oh my god. So an alien time set by Wilkes there. Clearly,
he's gone quicker again, hasn't he? That's
quicker by over a
incredible.
second on his previous lap. So it's an incredible lap time. So let's try and find a. Oh, there we go. We had an Aston Martin then. We're gonna just. There we go. Gonna hit that, and we're gonna watch the GT4s. So interestingly, like I say, only nine drivers. And most interestingly, there's a Maserati in the grid.
Yeah, we are joined for the first time this season by Tom O'Farrell, who regulars of the VRCC stream will recognise as one of the front runners in our recently concluded Mazda MX-5 Super Cup. Tom, having successfully taken the bronze in the MX-5s, decided to try his hand at something with a bit more power, and so has come to do a bit of GT4 racing.
We're going to try and find him. Hopefully we'll be able to find him. I think that was him then. There we go. I've got to say, one of the most amazing sounding cars on this game.
Yeah, well, I don't have the audio feed, so I will take your word for it, Adam. But
Let's see if we can fix that quickly. No, you should
quite
be able
like
to hear it.
I can't, but it's fine.
Okay.
I've not been able to hear any audio in the streams that I've done with McRae so far either. So don't worry. Now that is the Visit Isla Holiday Homes branded livery, which is familiar again to quite a lot of the sim racing cars that Tom runs. It's great to have him in this series. I'm expecting this is not the easiest round to make your debut, admittedly, but he could be a bit of a dark horse.
Well, more interestingly, the Maserati. So, if you look at ACC and you look at GT racing, you think traction control and ABS. If I remember rightly, this has neither. It's one of the only GT cars on this game that has neither. So, not only
focus too much on making it sound nice.
They were focused too much. No, but obviously these are modelled off the real world. So, when this thing was running against, obviously, the likes of Ginetta, BMW, Aston Martin, they decided to remove the traction control and ABS. I'm not sure as to the success of this car, but I mean the sound is just incredible. So we'll let it pass on that one. But yeah, shockingly.
Let's have a look at who's out on track then. So we've got our main protagonists. We've got Richard Pixley. We've got Mark Raddenbury. We've got Jake Mills, of course. We've got Anthony Brown. So yeah, the only one from the top 5 in the championship who's missing is your good self, Adam. So
I'm sure I'll make up the points elsewhere. But
should be a Titanic scrap.
Absolutely.
For the GT4s.
I think the dark horse definitely here. I think will be the Maserati. But obviously we can't discount Colin Dunn, incredible driver, very lovely guy. And that McLaren is ridiculously fast around the circuit.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Thanks. We've not spoken to Colin yet post-race, yet to take a GT4 podium on stream at least. So he will be hoping for his first one today.
Absolutely. I think he deserves it. I think he's a lovely driver, and, you know, that McLaren is just a beautiful looking car.
And one driver who's missing from the GT4 fit. Well, there are a number, including Lisa Keane,
Yep.
and Gary Messenger, who I developed somewhat of an affinity for in the last race at Silverstone, because he was always giving us something to talk about on stream. We wish him well and hope that he makes it back. But Lee Ward is also missing now. Lee was the other driver involved in that contentious coming together with Remy Papin. So I don't know whether the stewards have taken a dim view of both of them,
If we look at the spotted
or
guy,
whether he's missing for other reasons.
Nope, he has been banned from this race. He has been given a disqualification from this round. He's picked up 5 penalty points. So in this series, we obviously have the penalty point system. Once you accrue 5, it is an immediate race ban, which, interestingly, I don't know whether that means Remy Papin misses the next round too, as he is currently sat on 10 penalty points.
I thought it was 7, but you probably know.
It could be 5. It could be 6 or 7, but I will double check.
But yes, yeah, that's why we. So the incident, there were 2 parts to it, and we won't dwell on it because obviously we've got a great race at Spa here in the offing. But yeah, there were 2 parts to the incident. There was the lapping incident, and then there was a bit of retaliation, which is obviously not what we want to see in any series. So yeah, I think the stewards have come down hard on both of them. But anyway, to talk about the GT4 racing that's happening in front of us. Colin Dunn, yes, he is quick, half a second off, but the pole time at the moment is a beamer. It's Jamie Buchanan, who has yet to start from pole position in the GT4 category.
Indeed. It's kind of a Spoon-esque livery if you think back to the old Hondas.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he was obviously immediately being displaced by Pixley and Brown, setting blistering lap times.
Yeah, and so close as well, considering the length of the lap. That's really not much between the 2 of them.
See if we can find them on track. There's we had Pixley a second ago. There he is. Wild Things Racing, the Porsche, number 11. Yeah, interestingly, that Porsche setting a very close lap time to the Aston Martin. I think the Cayman obviously being quite a club sporty car, to be fair. I've seen a few race on the club sport circuit. But apparently a very good GT4 car in general. I haven't driven it myself on this game yet, but from what I've been told, a very lovely car to drive, especially in these conditions.
Yes, well, they've got their own series, haven't they? The GT4 Caymans. So it's something
Indeed.
that Porsche's obviously put a lot of development into. It doesn't surprise me. It's a beautiful car to drive. And like we saw with the GT3 field, actually, not everyone's setting a lap time straight away. So are we assuming that's the old track limits chestnut again?
Absolutely. I believe it's normally coming up to the bus stop chicane. I believe it's the long left-hander. You want to run it as tight and then wide as possible. And that normally means that you may skim the AstroTurf just on the outside of the curb, and that will be a track invalidation on your qualifying laps.
Yeah, which is very frustrating when you've got all the way around the lap only to have it done there. But we will keep an eye, obviously, likes of Mark Roddenberry, Jake Mills, yet to set times. So pole time is by no means confirmed yet. I did see Anthony Brown come back into the pits and head back out, so I don't know whether he wanted to make a quick tweak to his setup.
Yeah, interestingly, Jake has set a lap, but it has been invalidated. It would have put him in third place. It was 2:43.4, I believe, so it would have put him in third place.
Okay.
But
then Jamie Buchanan's just improved. He's taken another 0.3 off his time, but doesn't improve his position. We've seen Mark Rogers go 4th now, so ahead of Colin Dunn, who we're bigging up. We know that the McLaren's quick around this track, but Colin still yet to find his groove.
I think
the times are all pretty close, aren't they?
Absolutely,
really?
they're still very close for GT racing. You know, you look at GT racing and you've got quite a big gap, regardless of that's definitely an invalidation. As Mark comes through, I believe, into the third sector. But the most interesting thing is that GT racing qualifying is kind of irrelevant because you've got such a mixed ability grid, such a mixed variety of cars. You know, over one lap. You know, you look at the Williams, it's great over one lap, but over the hour and a half long race, it just doesn't have this consistent pace. And it's the same sort of situation in GT racing. You know, you look at the faster cars in a straight line, and you think, oh my god, they're just going to absolutely dominate. But then, you know, fuel consumption comes into play, tyre wear, just the ability to follow, and it's all of a sudden it means that cars that maybe aren't as fast in qualifying can make it up in the race.
Yeah, and we'll be seeing that. Mark, what's he doing?
I'm not quite sure. I think he's trying to stay clear of people as he goes towards potentially his final lap. In fact, this will be the final lap. If he can't set a time here, he will not set a time.
So, winding up, we've seen a couple of drivers get themselves on the times. Anthony McGee, I think, has just gone third with a great effort.
Absolutely.
But still nothing yet from Jake Mills. So let's assume that he is winding up.
There
Richard
he is.
Pixley has gone quicker, and yes, Jake's just coming up to the end of his lap.
So bus stop left, looks fairly clean. Let's see how he does. Gets the apex there. Can he find the second apex? Yes.
His
Nice.
fellow Porsche holds pole at the moment. Don't touch that.
That could
that
be a track
runoff.
invalidation. No, it's not, but it's third place. So it's a Porsche Aston front two rows, which is going to be interesting.
And we've seen Tom O'Farrell set a time as well, so it's just Mark Raddenbury who has yet to get himself on the timing screen. So, yeah, unless he fancies a last to first challenge in his class, then he needs to get a wiggle on.
Absolutely. But again, as we've seen in the first laps, I mean, you saw from myself, opportunities will come knocking at every corner because everybody is so bunched together. It's the opportunities where slower drivers over maybe the course of a race can make their difference. You know, you can maybe eke a couple seconds here, a couple seconds there. And, you know, over an hour-long race, those seconds are vital.
Yes, indeed.
So
Anthony Brown has pulled himself into the pits, so he's done for the day. He will start no higher than second.
yeah, interesting that, because I think maybe it's a track invalidation, but like I say, Mark, the only driver yet to set a time, so that looks just within limits. He's definitely playing with fire here. But yeah, as soon as you go onto that green AstroTurf on the edge of the circuit, we'll put two tyres over that white line where there's no curve. It's an immediate invalidation of that lap. And while it may not cost you a penalty in the race, obviously that penalty is just something you don't want in qualifying.
Particularly on such a long lap. And I think it's worth saying, actually, just a massive slap on the back, really, for the entire GT4 field.
Absolutely.
Okay, there's only 9 of them. But with a near 3-minute lap, we've got the entire field separated by 3 seconds.
Oh, that looked tight, but yeah, that's incredible. You know, you look at the times, and even at Silverstone, there was much more separation. So this is such a tight grid. I don't think we can predict a winner until the Fat Lady sings as such. So you know,
it's all going to come.
There we go. Mark in third.
race.
Mark jumped straight to third place, so that's incredible time.
What a relief for him, though. He'll be
Is
delighted
Jake
with
still
that.
on lap?
Although it's not over yet.
Jake Mills coming up to the final 2 turns now. Is he on a lap? That's the big question.
Well, he must be. He's stayed out this long.
Sometimes drivers do just stay out to complete the lap, even if it isn't valid. But we'll find out. Comes up to the line now. Is that going to be any quicker?
It's a bit of a wiggle on the exit of the final corner.
It is. It's second place. Incredible. Look at that. The top
Porsche 1-2.
5 within a second. Incredible.
Well, the top 4 within half a second. That's
It's
a really,
incredible.
really close grid. And we've not seen everyone come across the line yet. Colin Dunn still on a lap. Jamie Buchanan, we've seen improve lap after lap. Can he do it again? And the answer is no. Just on the final one, it falls short. But still, 7/10 off pole. That is a very,
very good
impressive time indeed.
Absolutely. There's nothing to shake your head about. It's brilliant. Mark Rogers comes up to the line. Does go faster.
Oh, and
So
McGee, who was up in third, has just seen the times tumble, and he'll be wondering why on earth he's down seventh in class. But again, I mean, Tom O'Farrell making his debut, and tricky conditions, we possibly expected him to take a bit of time to get up to pace, but the rest of the field, this is so incredibly close. I think we're in for an absolutely cracking GT4
this
race.
is going to be incredible. I think, you know, I think it's really unfortunate for the Maserati. This isn't the conditions that suit that car. Dry track and, you know, lovely conditions is the best thing for that car. As McGee doesn't go faster, Colin the last one to set his lap now. So interestingly, yeah, everybody's still within 3 seconds, which is nothing to complain about. You know, it should be a great race from start to finish. Absolutely.
And we'll do our best to keep our eyes on the
There we
GT4s. And Colin Dunn has improved, albeit only the 2 positions up to 21st overall and
So
6th in class.
big shock is I've just realised we didn't see the end of the GT3s, and Callum McGough up in 2nd place.
Oh yes, yeah. So he's split the 2. Well, the
2
two
front runners of the
championship
championship.
protagonists, essentially, isn't it? Yeah.
For this race, absolutely incredible lap by McGough there. McKinley's internet has come back down, which is lovely. Drive, there we go. So we're gonna go to the overall. So obviously in 1st place we have, if we can try and get to them. There we go. So we have Stephen Wilkes in 1st, followed by Callum McGough. Ryan Reese in 3rd.
Is he any relation to Simon Wilkes?
No. Wait, my brain's gone, sorry. There we go, Simon Wilkes on the pole. Incredible lap time by him. Callum McGough in 2nd place in that beautiful Golf McLaren. 3rd place is Tripp or Ryan Reese. Good lap by him. Again, not really sure about the livery choice, but I guarantee Kiki probably had some say in that. Ashley Coupland in 4th place. Pretty good lap there. I think the Aston Martin's definitely.
I certainly on stream we've not seen much of Ash in previous streams. He's sort of been a bit quiet in the midfield, but right up the sharp end for this one.
Absolutely. Another Aston Martin in Rob Jackson in the beautiful, I believe the Bathurst-inspired Castrol Aston Martin.
Again, another driver who's been quietly getting on with things. So
Absolutely.
yeah, great to see him up in 5th.
Paul Lindsay in 6th place in another interesting anime-inspired livery. Very lovely car, to be fair. I can't deny that. It is a very good-looking car. In 7th place, we have Kiki Mack, one of the 2 main Celtic Romance drivers. 8th, we have Radomir Kazerski. I believe that's how you say the name.
Yeah, and that's another driver. There's so many drivers having their best performances of the season in this qualifying session. That is an outstanding effort in the Audi. So well done, Radomir.
In 9th, we have Stefan Carey, the German driver who I had a lovely run-in with at Imola that caused, well, he ended up trying to reverse the rest of the race and got disqualified in the process. But yeah, lovely guy and very quick driver on his day. So Alistair Baldwin in 10th, one of the other Celtic Romance drivers. There is a lot of them. Almost pulsing out the grid. Yeah, there's about 100 cars and all of them Celtic Romance. So Arnaud Strichter in the AF Corsa Ferrari. It's a very lovely looking Ferrari as always. Then we have JP McKinley, the other part of the original Celtic Romance.
Yeah, and for JP, this is actually the first race I will get the pleasure of commentating on JP. He's dropped out with dodgy internet connection in 2 of the others, so 3rd time lucky. And I really hope I haven't jinxed you there, JP. I do apologise if your internet now drops out.
So Peter Phillips in that beautiful, I believe it's a Jordan-inspired Porsche, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
7-Up livery. Again, very lovely livery, and just hope, like I say, I think a lot of these drivers are going to be looking forward to the start, especially with a wet start. It's going to be interesting how people take the line. Then we have Robert Zantai, there we go. Absolutely. In the Flying Lizard Porsche, again, a personal favourite livery of mine growing up. And last but not least, in the GT3s, we have Tobias Eriksson of AJR Motorsport.
Well, you say last, but there are 2 drivers who did not set a time.
So we'll get to those in a moment. But yeah, obviously of the 15 that did set a time, Tobias leads that main pack of ends that main pack of GT3s. And then we jump to the GT4s, our championship leader on the pole, Richard Pixley, Wild Things Racing Porsche Cayman, followed by the Celtic Bromance Porsche of Jake Mills, Anthony Brown in Red Rocket Racing's number 45 Aston Martin, Mark Rattenbury, the series organizer, in 19th, and I believe 4th place of the GT4s. Then followed behind him, another BMW of Jamie Buchanan. Again, very good qualifying by him. Probably would have hoped to get higher up than 5th place, but I don't think he'd be too
still within
upset.
a second of pole.
Absolutely, within a second of pole, there's still nothing to complain about. Colin Dunn in the beautiful McLaren. We have Mark Rogers in the other Aston Martin, or one of 2 Aston Martins on that row, with Alex McGee right next to him. And we have Tom O'Farrell in the Maserati, rounding off the main pack in the GT4, and then the 2 drivers at the back are... Ooh, there we go. Are Alistair Pollock in OG Racing's Porsche, and Amin Daraju in Dynamic Motorsports car. So yeah, that is all 26 drivers, I believe, as they
I had a bit of a chat with Amin, because obviously we raced together in the MX5 Super Cup, and he's taken my number for this for this series, number 42, which is his number as well. To be fair, he's not just taken my race number, but his name's pronounced Duragi.
Ah.
And this came to light after he said it was as if you're saying pint of Guinness. So Duragi.
Duragi, right, got it. We will remember for future mentions.
There are so many words that have the sound "gi" in them.
Yeah.
Why you thought of a pint of Guinness probably tells you everything you need to know about
Absolutely.
him. Yeah, nice guy, and very difficult conditions for any cars, but particularly the Porsches, which we see Alistair and Amin in at the back of the grid. They've just got to be super careful, haven't they, on the opening laps?
Oh,
because
absolutely.
there's going to be so many squabbling GT4s in front of them.
It could cause... I mean, we had that issue, I think, at the last round at Silverstone. The intervention of a different class in a battle is all the difference. I mean, obviously, the incident between Ward and Papin, and obviously, again, Ali at the start of the race and had a small issue, which meant he had to try and fight his way through the entire GT4 grid just to get back to his positions. It's going to be very interesting to see how the traffic plays out in this race. Obviously, with it being such a long circuit, the chance of the faster cars overlapping the same class is severely reduced, and I think the amount of times we see the traffic get in the way should be next to none.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree entirely, but then there's the rain, which obviously might throw a few curveballs. But yes, in theory, we should see cars staying on the lead lap for that little bit longer.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting to see. Again, 26 cars into Eau Rouge for Turn 1. It's going to be a sight to behold anyway. So
everyone just needs to be really patient, don't they?
Absolutely.
These conditions are going to reward staying out of trouble.
Oh, it's going to absolutely reward the ones that decide to stay out of trouble. I mean, if you look at this rain, it's torrential, and it's going to remain torrential for the entire race by the looks of it. So
yeah, well, we'll see. So we might not get any pit stops after all. There might not be that strategy call to make. We don't know. But yeah, certainly the way that the sky is at the moment, it doesn't look like the rain's going anywhere anytime soon, does it?
No, absolutely not. I mean, you look at this from the back of Simon Wilkes' car, you can just see the amount of cars behind him just slowly but surely warming up their tyres as best they can. Obviously, some of them will be trying to warm up their brakes as well. Obviously, Lacombe is going to be such an interesting corner.
Yeah, first big braking zone.
First major braking zone, indeed. But interestingly, we were talking about this earlier, about how GT4s will need to brake going up Eau Rouge, and majority of GT3s won't. This is going to, again, play interestingly for Ali and Amin at the back, because obviously they've got to try and make their way through while potentially trying to hold it flat for Eau Rouge and watching where the traffic's going to be.
Yeah, I think they'll be super cautious on the opening lap, and then, well, we'll see where they end up after lap 1. We'll keep an eye on their progress. But I think particularly in the GT4 field, we've got this situation where out of the 9 runners, I honestly think any single one of them could win it today.
I think, don't count Colin out just yet. I think there could be incidents that do play into his hands. At the very least, I'd love to see him on the podium. I think Jake Mills and Richard Pixley, that's a battle that's been heating up these past 2 races. So it's definitely going to be down to the wire for them. And obviously, yeah, let's not discount the series organiser, Mark Raddenbury. He could definitely pull away with a podium here today.
Here they are lining up 2 by 2, ready for those lights to go green.
Going to jump into the helicopter cam so we can just see a little bit more of the action there.
Yeah, they're going to come through Eau Rouge, sorry, not Eau Rouge. Oh, my mind's gone blank.
Turn 1. The official turn 1. We'll call it
the
that is the official turn 1, obviously, but for the GT racing, you do start on the longer endurance layout start. But,
yeah, which makes a lot of sense, so that we don't have lots of bunching into that first corner.
Well, I mean, the British GT race kind of proved that point, didn't it? But
let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that slightly painful thing as we get
let's not
ready
talk
to
about
go.
any recent races.
We're away. So here we go as
they
come up towards turn 1 now. The official turn 1 here. Eau Rouge looks fairly clean so far.
Great start for Ryan Rees.
It looked like we've got everybody up Eau Rouge fairly cleanly. We've still got no yellow flags just yet. So Simon Wilkes seems to be pulling away. There we go. We've got a pack already forming. Somebody off there. That is Paul Lindsay, I believe. But he's held it. He's held it well. So here we go as they come into the first heavy braking zone. Wilkes already seems to have 2 to 3 car lengths of a gap already. Here we go as this timing table has to slowly sort itself out. It's definitely Simon Wilkes in the lead. I believe Ryan Rees has... Oh, we have lost potentially 2 drivers at the back because we haven't had Pixley.
Richard Pixley.
We're going to try and jump through them, see if we can find what happened to them. Yeah, here we are. Tom O'Farrell has taken both Pixley and Mark Raddenbury. Oh, Mark Raddenbury with massive amounts of damage.
So that's damage to the front. Is there any damage to the rear of
the
Richard
Porsche?
Pixley's
That's the
car?
first question I've got. No, so it means they've both hit something at the front because you can see the scratches at the front. These 2 have hit the front, so what have they hit? It looks like the Maserati's hit something as well. I couldn't really see from that camera angle, but no, looks fairly clean.
Down into the bus stop for the first time, or the leaders will certainly be there at this.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've yeah.
There we go. We're back up
slightly further back.
We're going into sector 3 here. Now, Ryan Rees immediately chasing down Simon Wilkes. He does not want to let him get a gap because if Simon gets a gap, he will just control from the get-go. So Ryan really needs to get on the back of him and start pressuring immediately. They've already built a 2-second gap to the cars behind. So
I was wondering if any of the chasing pack could maybe slow down these 2 championship protagonists, but no, they are
having their own. They're having their own wonderful battle here. Definitely, look at that, an amazing shot there. Somebody's gone wide. That was Paul Lindsay.
Paul Lindsay's disappeared.
Well, there he is.
He's reappeared again.
That's definitely going to be a warning for track limits. That was an incredible rejoin, but luckily he didn't take anybody out in the process.
Yeah, everybody tiptoeing their way through the wet conditions with full fuel on board for the first time. And actually everyone's surviving in almost the same sort of order. Kiki Max dropped a couple of places. He's now down in
no, he's gained one.
Place.
He was down. I believe he started 7th, so I believe he has actually gained a place.
Okay. My apologies to Kiki, but yeah,
it's
really
Kazersky
really
that has
pack.
lost a place.
Apart from the top 2 who have checked out, the rest of the pack is absolutely nose to tail as we head on to the second lap here at Spa.
Interestingly, where is it? There it is. I believe that's... Oh no, that's an Porsche coming through first, but there's the Aston Martin, and there's a second Porsche coming to interrupt this already interesting battle that's shaping up between it is Anthony Brown and Jake Mills. So that's already going to be shaping up to what could be potentially quite a good battle here. So that Porsche is trying to...
Callum McGough has gone off the circuit, so...
Oh dear, that's huge damage for the Golf Porsche.
Damaged.
Porsche? McLaren.
Oh, yeah, what a shame as well.
That's a massive shame. There he goes. He
third
pulls out
place.
wide. I think he's going to let a lot of the drivers through. Obviously, knowing that it's not worth fighting them. And as he goes just around the outside, I believe he holds it.
That's got to be a pit stop, surely. That's a very dented car. That looks like he's gone off at Eau Rouge.
Absolutely, it looks like he's had a massive fishtail through Eau Rouge. But most interestingly, Simon Wilkes has just absolutely checked out from Ryan Rees already. So
yeah, it's the battle for third, which we need to be keeping our eye on, I think. So it's Paul Lindsay now, after his off-track excursion earlier on, has made his way up into third. But right behind him, he's got Coupland, he's got Jackson, he's got Mack, he's got Kazerski, he's got
all the
Carey,
way down to, I believe,
Baldwin, all in a line, haven't they?
It's all the way down. It's all the way down to the back. Basically, now it's all these drivers have all bunched up massively. You look at it, there's no more than a second between most of these drivers. Next one is down in 14th.
So we will. This is where our focus is going to be. Certainly in these early laps, we'll obviously keep an eye on those top two, make sure that they're making the progress that we expect. But a golden opportunity for a couple of drivers to get their first podium here.
Absolutely. I mean, Paul Lindsay is definitely controlling there as everybody goes wide. I believe, except for Kiki Mack there, as that is an Aston Martin off in the back. That's Rob Jackson. There he is, but he's back on in front of Stephen Carey, but Stephen Carey is going to just go straight through. Not going to
he did that
at all.
He did exactly the same last lap as well. So yeah, just caught out by a puddle maybe on the inside.
And that's the other thing we don't actually see on the stream, just how deep some of these puddles can get. Because interestingly, obviously, if you look at the way the circuit is, there will be a puddle at the bottom of Eau Rouge and Radion, and that will unsettle the cars going up the hill.
Yeah, absolutely, and that must be absolutely terrifying. So as we see Kiki Mack cutting through whatever moisture's there, both of them taking to the tarmac apron on the inside there to straighten the cars out. Not anything deliberate, I'm sure. That's just not finding the traction that they really wanted before the turn-in. But this now the battle
he going to try and
for
outbrake
fourth
him?
Place.
So we've got
Coupland watching his mirrors. It is allowing the third place driver Paul Lindsay to make a bit of a break. He's now got a gap.
He's got quite a big gap now, so this does look pretty well. Obviously, we're very, very short into the race here, but it's looking like it's going to be fairly processional for the front three so far, unless somebody can challenge a bit later on in the race when the tyres do start to degrade and the cars all of a sudden become that even more of a handful. Obviously, Callum McGough now dropping right down the order because obviously the amount of damage he had, just obviously really unfortunate for him. Obviously, great start. Up in third, second even, sorry, at the start. To be then just dropped down by an accident like that, I think he'll be kicking himself a little.
Yeah, well, we didn't see what happened, so we'll have to obviously review that. But it did look, considering he was the only car that dropped down the order, like it may have been self-inflicted. Anthony Brown's getting very close at the head of the GT4 field.
Absolutely. As I believe Kazerski goes wide, that's allowed Pollock and Daragi through. Jake Mills, now 4 cars now battling for that lead. And interestingly, it's the Aston Martins now chasing down the German Porsche. So 3 Aston Martins, the British boys are coming for that Porsche now as we go through into Sector 3. So interestingly, it's now just 1 Porsche versus 3 Aston Martins. And those Aston Martins are going to be unrelenting.
Yeah, and I was wondering where Richard Pixley was. I think... yes, he is still on the back of that. I believe Mark Raddenberry's been into the pits because
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, he's out behind Callum McGough. What a disaster for him. But for Richard Pixley now, this is a case of damage limitation. Now we know that the GT4 field is really close. He is definitely close enough to still make something out of this race, particularly with Jake Mills backing the field up here. So it's definitely not over for Richard Pixley, despite those issues on the opening lap.
I don't think it's ever over, especially in a race like this where you've got such a long time to claw back anything. You can go off wide. Just had a DM from Mark saying bugger. But it is what it is. And so I think, you know, it's interesting because this battle could rage on for the entire race. It could rage on for another 10 minutes, but either way, Pixley needs to find a way back through this grid. Otherwise, Jake will probably take the championship lead after this race.
Oh, you don't count your chicken's leg, because Mark Rogers has got a run.
Absolutely.
And this is, and he's giving a double toe to Anthony Brown. So the top three, absolutely nose to tail, heading into Le Com. Rogers thinks about it.
He's gone for the move.
He's gone for the move.
He's pushed him off.
Late.
He's pushed him off. So that'll be interesting to see where Jake has to re-enter. But that's also now pushed Rogers back into Brown. So they're now going to be fighting each other for position, because obviously there's no team's championship here. There's no team orders at play here, even though they are all driving Aston Martins. There is no team there. So I can imagine Jake will be in the Discord, in the Celtic Romance Discord right now, panicking. But
They're
yeah,
coming for me, guys. They're coming.
they're coming.
Yes, they are. And look at
Indeed.
That's a magnificent sight, isn't it? And Alex McGee's staying with them really well as well in that fourth place car.
Interestingly, one car we've not seen much of, which has been fairly quiet and still having its own little battle, is Pixley. Dunn's disappeared, but Pixley and Buchanan racing after the Maserati of Tom O'Farrell.
Yeah, and Tom has. I think I always find that you know, qualifying is one thing, but when you're actually racing with other cars, you learn so much more about the lines and the handling of the car that you can take. So Tom will no doubt be setting best lap times, I think, in this session. And he's very quickly got onto the pace of those cars immediately around him.
Indeed. I think, you know, following another car that is faster than you and, you know, will be naturally faster than you is okay. I think the best way I learned was with perhaps Season 3 championship, pro champion of VRCC, or the VTCC, Andrew Gillone. The best way he used to do it was he'd get in a car about relative to the pace that you're in, and then just drive behind you and scare you into going faster. He used to just race behind us and, you know, go, that's definitely not the right line, you know, try this line, and naturally he'd sort of force you onto the right line, and it definitely improved times.
Yeah, so this is like the B group battle at the moment in GT4s, just dropping a little bit behind the top four.
Oh
still
no!
Oh, Colin is a very rearranged front of the car now. Is that a retirement, or is that a?
I believe he can come back out after, but yeah, that's a teleport to the pits, which means he is officially sort of bowing out, saying, "Yeah, that's me done." As such. Mark, we haven't seen anything of, so I'm not sure whether he's still in the race. I think he may have left the session by the looks of it, because I cannot find his car anywhere on the circuit.
No, I think you may be right. Yeah, and,
that's Kiki Mack off.
Yeah, Kiki Mack.
So Kiki Mack was fighting
the reason that we're focusing on the GT4s is because the GT3 field has rather spread itself out. Although, as evidenced there, it's not done and dusted, because people can still make mistakes in this pack.
So
but yeah, certainly the closest battle on track at the moment is in GT4. But look at this sort of train of GT3 cars as well. And that's led by Alistair Pollock, who has made his way up from the back of the field.
So we'll find out in the split just what positions they're actually in, because it takes a second for it to think. So there we go, 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th. Finally a little battle here going on with 3 Porsches and a Lexus. The Audi not far behind. So I think there's a lot of people here that are trying to do damage limitation, you know. They've gone off, run wide. I mean, to be fair, Ali and Draghi have definitely done really well, considering they started right at the back. They're now, you know, one spin from somebody in front of them away from a top 10 finish, which would not be by no means is a mean feat. By no means is an easy feat. So, you know, they've got to be happy with themselves already.
Oh yeah, definitely. And JP McKinley as well is the highest I think he's ever been. But let's keep an eye on Kiki Mack, because he's lining up a move.
Well, there we go. There's Mark.
Zantai.
Mark is sat just in front of 7th place by the looks of it. There's 7th place. Good old Mark's just having some fun with traffic.
Yeah, so Kiki Mack, if we can have a look at Kiki, is last time we had a look at him was shaping up a move. Oh, he hasn't made it yet, but he's looking to move back forward after that off-track moment.
He's going to try and take him, I think, into Lacombe. There we go. There's the pull
He's
out.
got the run.
Brakes. He's already passed him, I think, before even braking. He's going to have the line. There's nothing the Porsche can do there. That's a brilliant move. That's very well executed.
So up to P13.
Absolutely.
Next target, Amin Diraghi.
It's going to be interesting because if those two fight as well, it's going to be even harder for the Lexus to find a way through. Because obviously you've got a Porsche going too wide. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to try and see where he makes his way through. So interestingly, Wilkes still has just run away with it so far. His gap is just incredible right now, over 7 seconds, the gap between first and second. But goes wide there, so that's another track warning guaranteed. Which means if he's not careful, he'll get a drive-through. And if he gets a drive-through,
he's
then...
not got that much in the bag. Although the pit lane here actually at Spa, the GT pit lane that they're using, it's not too bad to take a drive-through in terms of length, but obviously you're running a lot of the track alongside you is very, very high speed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the length, I believe it is the longest pit lane in motorsport besides the Nürburgring 24-hour. But
do they do the full pit lane then?
It's the full pit lane. They come out at the base of Eau Rouge.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say it's the second long. I believe it is. I believe it is unofficially. Even Le Mans, the pit lane at Le Mans is shorter than this one.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking they were pulling in.
Oh
just
no, it's
after
not just the F1 pit lane.
The hairpin, yeah. So.
They pull in at the bus stop and come out at the base of Eau Rouge.
Oh well, this is definitely not the place you want to drive through. Then
if you get a drive through here, that's race over. A drive through here is about 50 seconds, and that would drop him right to the bottom of the grid. It'd probably even put him within the range of a GT4 car.
Yeah, and speaking of the GT4s, Anthony Brown he's taken over. I don't know what's happened to Mark Rogers. He's obviously had a big issue because he's dropped right to the back of the.
There he is. There we go. Yeah.
But Anthony Brown is piling the pressure on Jake Mills for the lead of GT4.
So we're waiting for the order to update, but from the looks of it, these two have overtaken O'Farrell, but where, I'm not sure. So McGee is now chasing after the two leaders who are already fighting going into turn 1, coming up towards Eau Rouge now. The Aston Martin should have a superior run. It's got an indicator on.
And it is, of course, La Source is the name.
That's the one, La Source.
Completely escaped us earlier. Yeah, so through La Source, through Eau Rouge, and again, nose to tail. This is by far and away the closest battle on the track, and it is for the lead of GT4. And this is something new. We've seen GT3 have lead battles before, but certainly in the streams that I've been commentating on, the GT4 leader has generally tended to be away and up the road. This is the first time we've really seen an early race battle for the lead between two GT4 runners.
Now, interestingly, these two are 3 points apiece, 3 points apart in the standings. With Anthony, obviously, I believe at every round, but obviously Jake doing 2 and taking 2 wins. If I remember rightly, I'm going to go quickly check the standings or the points for a win. The points for a win is 40 points, which would take and where is our current leader? He is in 5th, I believe.
He's up to 4th now in class. He's passed Jamie Buchanan as well.
I believe even after this round, Pixley should still keep the lead, but barely. It'd be down to 16 points if Jake still takes the win. Adversely, if Anthony takes the win, it'd be 19 points, the gap between first and second. But that would bring it down a little bit. However, obviously, second place in the championship, Mark Raddenbury isn't going to pick up as many points as he would have liked.
No, indeed. Well, I think This is like penalties in a football game. We shouldn't talk about points until we get into the
Absolutely
closing
not.
stages of a race, particularly
But,
with the drivers this close.
Absolutely. But yeah, so if we look quickly where Wilkes is, so
He's putting the pressure on. So
yeah,
Mills running a bit wide, coming into sector 3 there, and that's as a result of the pressure being applied by Anthony Brown.
so it's going to be interesting because I believe the GT3s will probably be about maybe 2 to 3 laps away at this point from overtaking these cars. So all of a sudden, this battle will get very interesting when they've got to contend with fighting with each other, as well as dealing with faster cars. That's when this battle could heat up even more, because obviously at the moment I think Anthony is happy to just sit behind Jake, because he can sit in the tow, maybe drop, if it has engine maps, drop an engine map and just save fuel. Whereas obviously Jake is pushing as hard as he can. He's going to be burning his tyres and his fuel to try and get away. But obviously if Anthony can just sit behind him for a good 20 minutes, all of a sudden the advantage goes back to him.
And he's certainly not shaping up for a move, so maybe he has decided to just sit back, or maybe Jake's upped his pace a little bit. But yeah, intriguing. We will see how that one plays out. Now, I don't know where the leaders are, but one car that is closing in on the back of the GT4 cars is Callum McGough after his pit stop. So he's still nowhere near making a move yet, but he will catch, I should imagine, next lap.
Not far behind. There we go. There's the leaders. Not
Oh
far
yes,
behind.
indeed, yeah.
So it will be within the next 2 laps. We'll see GT traffic.
Definitely, because I think Callum McGough's almost on leader pace, isn't he?
Not 100% sure. We can have a quick look. I believe.
I don't know what his race pace is, but considering he qualified second, you would expect him to be one of the quicker cars out there.
It's a shame. But yeah, if he qualified, I think he is one of the faster cars on pace. I mean, there you go. He's already closed up to the back of what looked like Mark Rogers and O'Farrell. So as he runs a little wide there, I don't think that'll be too much of a cut. But yeah, it is. It's O'Farrell and Rogers. But you can see the closing speed
battling
in the corners.
Yeah, so let's just stay on board with Callum and just see, because this is I know they're not being lapped. This is essentially for position.
This is for position. But you wouldn't imagine
wise to battle a GT3 car. You know, you're never going to. I mean, it's irrelevant. They can finish in front of you, and it still won't affect your points. So they should just let him go. But obviously, they are battling. There you go. So Rogers moves out of the way.
Is Tom going to do the same? No, he's come across the racing line. The Maserati coming offline for it would be potentially dangerous. And there you go, immediately, I think. If we jump to the rear wing. Oh no, I thought Mark had already made his way through past Tom.
Very nearly. He was looking to take advantage, but Tom chopped him off and didn't let him get up the inside. But they're still battling very, very hard. But just behind them, you can see now coming up is Simon
You can see the
Wilkes.
race leaders, which is going to make everything change now. This is where the time that he's made will make or break his race, because getting through the traffic is easier said than done, as we've seen. You know,
and sadly, whilst all of this has been happening, there has been, I think, something happened between the top 3 in GT4, because McGee and Brown have dropped over 7 seconds behind Jake Mills now, and they were absolutely nose to tail.
There we go, there's an incident there. That's definitely a rear end contact there. That's front end contact on that 45 Aston Martin.
Yeah, so sad to see, but it has allowed Jake Mills to.
There is a
really
little bit of a scrape,
so
I believe he's had a small accident somewhere along the line. But this has also allowed Pixley all of a sudden to close right back up to the podium. So this is now meaning that Pixley, who was losing a lot of points this race, has suddenly got back up to the podium places.
Oh yeah, indeed. Wilkes has passed those
the first
2 battling runners.
Yeah, first of the
and
2.
Toby Farrell's still holding on, isn't he? He's still,
absolutely, he's still doing it.
Through all the traffic,
he's keeping himself. That Maserati straight line speed is just incredible. I mean, he's going to get a little bit of a toe off this Aston, but the wash may be worse. So, but yeah, there you go. Immediately, Wilkes has lost time to Ryan Rees in the lap traffic. So we'll see what gap is now. Yes, he's lost over 2 seconds, just overtaking the GT cars. So he's also now got to contend with the GT3 traffic of Callum McGough.
I think it might be well till he catches Callum McGough. I think McGough
I
will
believe
make
he's right in
his
front of
way
him.
through all of the. Well, yes, on times, but he's
No, he's
running
there.
a similar pace.
Yeah, obviously, like I say, he's right there, and McGough's also struggling with Buchanan, because Buchanan and him are fighting for position. So we've got this rare situation of, there you go, he's let him through, but we've got that rare situation of a GT3 is fighting a GT4 for position. While they may not have the same points table, it is a little bit of pride in saying I outraced the GT3. BMW seems to be getting in the way a little bit, as closes the door on the leader. I believe he closes the door slightly on Wilkes there, the race leader. There you go. Finally gives way, but that will allow Ryan Rees to get even closer. Let's look at the times as we get through now. He comes through the second time, so somehow he's lost even more time.
Well, yes, I mean this is the thing. I mean we saw Ryan at particularly at Silverstone being very courteous to the traffic he was lapping, and losing a fair amount of time in doing so. So even though Simon Wilkes is losing time, the expectation is that all of the following cars will lose time as well, unless they get lucky. So it will even out, I'm sure.
Let's find our race leader again. There he is. He's now catching up to the back of McGough and the rest of the GT4s. McGough making his way past Pixley there. So I think the Aston's going to be very, very lucky and catch them all going through down the Kemmel Straight, which means that it's going to be fairly straightforward if he can make the moves at the beginning, because once it gets towards the end they're at the same speed, but or relatively the same speed.
He'll pass Pixley. I don't think he'll catch the others.
So and there we go.
That works well for Richard Pixley actually, because he doesn't really need to get out of the throttle there. He can power on and then get a slipstream as well from the GT3.
Yeah, he can get a lovely slipstream down the back, the main straight there. But yeah, the Kemmel Straight obviously is quite an equaliser in any car, because all of a sudden you find out just how fast your car actually is. And Wilkes definitely taking a little bit of risk there, going up on that curb so much. And there we go. Oh, free wide.
And that's,
just about makes it through.
That's the battle for second, right behind as well in GT4. You've got Brown, McGee, and now Pixley all going 3 wide for second place in GT4.
We're going to jump back and watch this, because this is going to be much more interesting. As there we go, yeah, Pixley now straight on the back of these two Aston Martins. It could be a Porsche 1-2 yet. And Colin also slightly in the way there, obviously getting lapped by his own.
Just briefly saw that Colin Dunn is back out on track after that teleport back to pits after that huge off. It's around, I think it was here actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it must have been around here, because it looked monumentous.
So, in all of that lapping, Anthony Brown has made his way past Alex McGee and is now charging away in second place.
Take it. He's definitely taken a leaf out of Jake Mills' book, and he's gone. Oh no, there's McGee. So obviously we haven't had the timing sector update. There we go. But yeah, he's already gained over a second away from the GT4 third place driver. But yeah, Callum now following behind the race leader. So he'll be using that little bit of a tow and obviously a superior drive as such so far, to potentially even gain some positions back here, because the next driver isn't that far up the road.
Oh no, I mean Peter Phillips has been into the pits, so a great shame in the 7-Up car, because he was running, I think he was, I don't know, he was top 10 or 11th, but he was certainly right up there having a good race, but maybe he's had damage as well and has had to pit. But yeah, Peter Phillips back out, but that is just, well, not just in front of, but not far up the road from Callum McGough.
Indeed. But yeah, we're almost halfway through the race already, and we've not been short of drama. That's definitely one thing. But that looks quite interesting a bit further back. If we can get there. We have Alistair Baldwin lapping the two, still battling, Mark Rogers and Tom O'Farrell, as they go yet again too wide towards La Source. He looks for the outside line. He's going to go for a switchback. He's going to try and get the traction. There it is. There's the traction. Can he outdrag the Maserati towards Eau Rouge? That looks like he should get the job done. but then the Maserati's drive just comes back. So what was a great move? They're gonna go side by side. Side by side still. Tom O'Farrell bails. But will it give him a drive-through? Because you can't do that too many times. Because if you do it more than 3 times, you will get a drive-through penalty. And there's JP McKinley coming to play as well.
He'll argue that he had nowhere to go.
Is McKinley going to make a dive bomb? No, he's not. He's going to think better of it and stay behind.
Yeah.
But still 7th place, which he'll be happy with.
I know he wants to protect his 7th place, doesn't he? But he'll hope that those GT4 cars get out of the way sooner rather than later.
I think he can I think he sensed that they are still battling for position, and he's thought better of it. Is O'Farrell going to let him through? I don't think he's going to have much of a choice.
Yeah, so past 1. Now can Tom O'Farrell use the opportunity of Rogers is going to have to get out of the way of JP McKinley, although he's not doing it straight away. He's going to do it on this next section, and that gives Tom O'Farrell no opportunity to capitalise. So the order remains as it was. Rogers has made his way past after many laps of knocking on the door. And Tom has gone wide.
Yeah, there we go. That's the battle pretty much concluded, unless Tom can close that gap again. That's Stefan Carey behind, so he'll be closing up on.
Yeah, Iki Max made his way up to the back of Arnaud Strichet now. So this is the battle for the final top spin 10 spot. Arnaud,
9th place, and
wide.
I think it looked very almost white flag. He just went, you know what? I'm not going to fight you. I know you're faster. And off you go. And like the race spotter just said, halfway through the race, a long way to go. And indeed, there is still a long way to go. We've got Rob Jackson, is it? If we can find him, he's not far behind. There we go, Ash Coupland.
So yes, that has closed up, and Colin Dunn there just getting out of the way, and Alex Baldwin as well, not too far behind as well. You can see him. There's just is it Alistair? Sorry, Alistair Baldwin putting a lap on Jamie Buchanan in the Beamer.
But interestingly, that Bentley I thought would be, well, obviously it is in 2nd place, but you'd think the Bentley would have that superior edge over an Aston Martin, especially in wet weather, considering its resemblance and common joke towards it being a boat. You think it would be quite good in this wet weather.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously takes a while to get it up to speed. So maybe these long straights don't really work for it in these conditions. But yeah, at the moment, the battle that we're looking at, Coupland is always managing to keep a GT4 car between himself and Rob Jackson at every sort of critical opportunity. So now, for the first time, they are running line astern, but now Coupland's just about to put another car between the two of them as he is going to pass Richard Pixley.
So Pixley has got past McGee as well. While we've been following the lapping traffic, he has put another place on himself, so he has now got 3rd place. So he's not far. So
podium starting to look quite familiar in GT4 now.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean,
absolutely does not tell the full story of the race, but
no.
Yes, Jake Mills leading from Anthony Brown and Richard Pixley. Pixley looking like he's got the legs on Brown though, if he can maintain this pace. Jake Mills has absolutely checked out though at the front of the class.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They've just decided that they've had enough and they're off. It's yeah, like I say, I think interestingly both leaders have checked out, and again by about the same gap. It's about 10 seconds between Ryan and Wiltz, and also 10 seconds between Mills and Brown. So clearly they're both doing the round, obviously a pace at which is just unmatchable by most of the other drivers. But here we go. That looked a little bit sideways from Rob Jackson there.
Yeah, I've been keeping my eye on that lead gap. It has been yo-yoing a little bit, so Simon's not driving away. I think probably the traffic has a little bit to do with it. That sometimes Ryan will close and then he'll lose a bit more time, but the gap is staying fairly consistent. You know, Simon can't relax here. If he makes a single mistake, Ryan Rees will be on him.
Well, interestingly, the next set of traffic will be GT3, and that's when it will either hopefully not kick off too much, but obviously that will become that moment where everything starts changing. because he's then got to try and think, how do I overtake cars that are the same pace as me? Because it's one thing to overtake a slower car, it's another thing to try and overtake cars that are going to be around the same pace as you.
Yes, I mean, unlike the GT4s that we've seen so far, the next set of GT3 traffic will not be battling with each other. So they should be aware, should see them coming.
Yeah, the next one is Phillips, followed by then Mark Raddenbury, and then Tobias Eriksson, 22 seconds up the road. So Tobias may not get caught by the end of the race, but at the pace that Wilkes is going, Phillips is definitely going to be lapped at some point within the next 5 minutes. But if you look at the GT3s,
I've not actually had the pleasure of interviewing any of our top three in GT3, so I mean, particularly Paul Lindsay, I know this will be his first podium. Wilkes and Rees, I think, have had podiums on one of the races that I was not commentating on, but yeah, this is going to be another race, and I said it at the top of the broadcast, another race where we've got different drivers battling for the victory every round, so hence why the championship is as close as it is. But I think we are going to see, if it stays like it is, Wilkes and Rees will become the top two in the championship.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, if you look at you're looking at obviously the GT traffic now, as Jake is being caught by, that looks like Ash, maybe? I think that's Ash Coupland. Yep, number 4, Ash Coupland. Obviously, he's run away with his lead. If we could have a quick look, you know, the next guy is 12 seconds behind now. 24 minutes, that's quite a gap to try and make up. But yeah, interestingly, everybody seems to be very spread out, unlike qualifying. Everybody's spread themselves out, so it's really a shame, because see, we had some great battles at the start, but as the race has progressed, I think Spa has just started to show its length a little bit, and you do lose the battle.
Callum McGough's in the pits again. So
oh
I don't
no!
know what's happened to him, but having done all that hard work and
that looks like a drive-through.
Yeah, I don't see any damage, so it must be a drive-through. I was going to say, having done all the hard work, he's now probably got to repass some of those GT4 runners.
Indeed. There we go. There's Mark Raddenbury getting out of the way of the race leader, I think. Yeah, there we go. He'll be outbroke anyway. But interestingly, I found that I was actually outbraking GT3s in the Ginetta. So I definitely had occasional moments where I'd go into a corner and I'd slightly panic. But yeah, it's a shame we don't have a GT3 Ginetta, because I think that would be a great little battle.
Yeah, so I think the GT3 series is closed for entries now, isn't it? I don't think we're getting any more GT3 runners. Maybe a few more GT4 runners, such as the likes of Tom O'Farrell.
Yeah, obviously I think GT3 is obviously closed entry now, and I think again you've got over 20. You've got over, I believe, over 20 drivers, 25, 26 drivers, all signed up for that. If we look at the spot guide quickly, we have drivers who've
29.
Yeah, I think you're right, but we haven't seen the likes of Kev Straw yet. We haven't seen David Moll. I believe Brendan was at round 1.
Yes, we've seen a couple of drivers. Like Kev Straw's done a round. I think Brendan's done a round. David Moll, I think, has forgotten he signed up for this series and hasn't.
I'm surprised. I'll give him a kick up the backside, but yeah, it's a shame because he's a very quick driver on his day. Ollie Henley, I don't think we see much of him.
Yeah, again, a name I recognise from a single round. But yeah, we've got a lot of drivers, as we see in real life, to be fair, who will do a single round of a series but aren't registered for the full championship.
But yeah, once again, interesting. 0 Pulse drivers, I believe. No Pulse driver has turned up to today's race.
No, they've got a scheduling conflict. They obviously do a lot of sim racing, and this being a new series hasn't attracted Pulse to do the full campaign. But as it grows, then should see a few more people decide to stick around. So the reason I paused though, I was just thinking these two started together, didn't they?
Yes, absolutely. And they're just still going for it.
Joined together, that's fantastic.
It's brilliant to see that, you know, the guys that started at the back are now fighting for positions that they probably thought were beyond the reach. You know, at one point I believe they were fighting for top 10, so they've definitely, you know, one of their standout performances of the series so far. You know, Ali and Amin both doing a really good job here. Ali very vocal and excitable. Obviously, not long since actually had a his first child as well.
Yeah, we gave him a shout out on the last stream.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So yeah, this is the closest battle on track actually.
Yeah, I think it is.
Although
indeed.
the one that is most intriguing is that battle for fourth now, because we've got Rob Jackson, who is 10th by 10th closing in on the back of Ash Coupland. So that battle still not resolved yet, and they're not too far behind Mr. Baldwin either. So
indeed.
Sorry,
in front
Mr. Lindsay.
Yeah, and Mr. Lindsay as well. Yeah, you know, one again, as you can see now, we're getting to the point where Aston Martin versus Aston Martin, and obviously, luckily, on this occasion, Tobias has just decided it's not worth trying to fight the race leader. But you will have moments where a GT3, you might catch a GT3, you know, in the technical section, through Sector 2 and towards the end of towards the beginning of Sector 3, where it's harder to find a spot to overtake that's going to be safe for both drivers. I believe that's a battle slowly heating up behind with, if we can try and find it again, Tobias and Phillips. Yep, within a second of each other now, so they're definitely going to be fighting for this position. But yeah, interestingly, as the time's now getting towards the end, everybody seems to be closing up a little bit.
Yes, we've got a couple of battles brewing. This one, as you say, definitely the battle for fifth, and the battle for second in GT4 as well. Pixley is slowly chipping away.
He's definitely closing, so... But yeah, I mean, I can't see the next time the GT3 leader should meet the GT4 leader. It'll probably be within maybe the last 5 minutes, if... Oh, we've got a yellow flag somewhere on the track. Let's try and find it. Who was it? I believe it might have been Kozerski, sorry. That wasn't there on the front of his car beforehand.
Indeed. Kiki Mack, I've just seen as well, is really closed up to the back of Arnaud Strichet. And that we've seen them battle before. I thought Kiki had got past, but Arnaud has clearly fought back.
There we go.
There we go. And just as we cut back, he has
he's already overtaken him. But yeah, obviously Kiki will definitely be on a mission now to hunt down his friend, Stefan Carey. And, you know, these guys raced with each other on a daily basis, so there's very much an internal rivalry there.
Yeah, he's got a lot of time to find. Let's check in with Coupland and Jackson, because that battle, it's just getting closer and closer. I'm intrigued to see which one is going to close up first, whether it will be this one or Brown and Pixley and GT4, because they are both closing. And Coupland's still not dropping that far behind Paul Lindsay, so entertaining hopes of a podium still, but obviously nowhere near challenging at this point.
Well, interestingly, Al seems to have not dropped off at all. Alistair has not, like, there you go, just in the background, you can see the Bentley. So it's not unlikely that these three could catch Lindsay, and all of a sudden we got a four-way scrap for the final podium places, which would be incredible to see.
Yeah, indeed. So into the final third of the race now, the last 20 minutes. And yeah, I keep checking that so that the gap is still there with Brown and Pixley. That one is the one that's closing fastest, I think, and could be where our next significant battle is going to come from. Not that the battles we've looked at haven't been significant. For example, Ericsson and Phillips still separated by just 1/10 of a second at the last split, but that a battle for 15th, where we're looking at the potential of a change for second in class in GT4.
And there we go. Phillips has made his way through. So Ericsson now back at the foot of the grid besides Callum of GT3. So yeah, Ericsson once again back down at the bottom of the GT3. We have lost a driver, I think, somewhere. No, it is Callum. We've lost. Sorry.
Yeah, still got
yeah.
all our runners. Pixley's actually dropped back slightly from Anthony Brown this lap.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm looking at the top of the weather radar. It's half an hour before the rain reduces, so we won't see the rain reduce before the end of the race.
So we are consistently wet. And I guess if it was going to be wet, the drivers would prefer it to be consistently wet than
absolutely.
Keep changing conditions.
I think it makes a massive difference. So
Marshall in the background getting a little over enthusiastic with his blue flag for Mark Roddenberry there. I think Baldwin wasn't anywhere near close enough to make a move into Lecombe. And where's Jackson gone?
Oh, where has Jackson gone?
Rob Jackson has gone off at Lecombe. And
there he is. There he is. He's lost.
He's dropped
position
the position
to Al. He's lost the position to Alistair. So whatever's happened there is clearly big, because all of a sudden the guy that was potentially also looking on for a podium if they could close the gap is now trying to fight for what was originally his own 5th place.
Yeah, he's trying to reclaim that top 5. And we've seen Rob Jackson do a little bit of lawn mowing elsewhere on the circuit, but still obviously blindingly quick up in the top 5.
Absolutely.
But yeah, he's giving himself a bit more of a challenge that I think he really was hoping for in this race.
Oh, there we go. Pixley has now closed the gap again. So if we can find them again. There we go. I believe he's already made the move. Oh no, he hasn't. There he is.
And there's Anthony Brown. Yeah, so these two, the drivers who have done every round in GT4. Jake Mills is the interloper who's is trying to catch them all after missing round 1. But these two have crossed swords many a time this season already, so they will know each other's driving.
Absolutely.
So yeah, very, very used to battling, and we're about to see the next round, Pixley versus Brown, round 4. And look, Pixley's straight onto the back of Brown. What can he do this lap? He's dropped back slightly. I think he went a bit too hot to that corner.
So interestingly, these are of the top 5, obviously excluding myself. These two are obviously 1st and 5th, but obviously I don't think that reflects just how well Brown has been racing. I think he's done a stellar job today, definitely. You can see with the damage at the front of the car, it's not exactly been an easy ride. But Pixley, by no means, who got dropped pretty much at the back, I believe.
He was dead last at one point.
Yeah, all of a sudden is now looking like getting back to 2nd place, which he'll definitely be happy with.
Yeah, I think he'll take a podium, but he'll be even more delighted with a 2nd.
Absolutely. But yeah, as we get towards the final 10 minutes now, it's going to be interesting to see where the GT traffic is in regards to them. I think that was 11th place behind them, I saw briefly. We certainly a bit more when we get towards the end of this straight. Yeah, that's the Audi of Kozerski and Zantsai's Porsche behind them, so that'll be the next set of traffic.
That battle's closing up as well, isn't it? Zantsai on Kozerski.
Oh, there we go. So there's Kozerski. And
it's
then
very
wide, so that damage is definitely error related. So he's definitely losing time.
Not many pristine cars left out there at the moment.
Oh, very much not. But again, I think that's just a typical thing to happen at Spa, isn't it? You look at the cars and normally this happens, so...
I have to say though, I really hope I don't jinx it now, but in all the incidents of lapping traffic that we've seen, everyone's been very, very well behaved. I think Mark Roddenberry and the stewards will be far less busy after this round than they have been in previous races.
Oh, absolutely. It's been, in standards have definitely been raised today. I think with the wet weather, everybody's being even more respectful. And, we've still had great racing. By no means has the racing been dull, because you've still got Pixley right on the back of Anthony. He's definitely going to look to overtake him.
This is the key battle now. This is the big one on track. Rob Jackson's dropped back from Anthony Baldwin in that battle for 5th, so this one is definitely the closest battle on track.
Absolutely, it's going to be by quite a margin now. So unless we have a quick check-in on... Oh, Pollock has lost the back of Daraju, so I think Pollock has had a spin somewhere.
He's had a brown trousers moment somewhere around Spa in the wet, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, you can
yes.
see above the side of that car. He's definitely had a brown... There's the race leader, so... See how Wilkes gets by the Porsche, but yeah, the Porsche's definitely got some front aero damage. There you go. Ali's just going to go very, very wide and not rejoin until he knows it's safe.
Yeah, that's getting out of Simon Wilkes' way, isn't it? So Wilkes peerlessly continuing his charge towards what would be his first race victory of the season.
Absolutely. And again... sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, making hay, not whilst the sun shines, but in Remy Papin's absence, inflicting the maximum damage on the absent championship leader.
So yeah, definitely, you know, he's taken every opportunity he's had. You know, when you get moments like this where, you know, Hamilton was ill, all of a sudden, you know, luckily it was after he won the championship, all of a sudden everybody went, well, hang on a minute, this race is mine to win. And it's the same situation, you know, the championship leader's disappeared for, obviously, unfortunately, 4 penalty points, but this gives everybody else an opportunity to close the gap. And indeed, obviously, in Wilkes' case, take the lead. So...
Yeah. Assuming it finishes as it is. Oh, and Ali Pollock has come into the pits. I think that damage is too strong for him to cope with for the remaining 10 minutes, and that's a shame because I think he may well drop to the back of the GT3 field with that. Notwithstanding Callum McGough is out.
Yeah, I was going to say. Besides Callum, I think unfortunately that will drop him to the back.
It's a great shame. At least he got some coverage for that absolutely cracking battle with Amin Diraghi.
Oh, it was an amazing battle.
Swathes of the race.
Just trying to find this battle now between Pixley. There we go, Pixley and Brown still raging on towards the last 9 minutes of the race now. So once again, the cracking battle from these two. Neither letting up really at all. So
yes, and thank goodness the GT4s have given us a battle in the top 3 because the GT3 runners are just too good. They've been running completely their own race, the top 3. They've not been bothered whatsoever.
They've just been doing their own thing. As we've got a car off there, who is that? Is it Pollock back in the pits? I look like a disconnect, but I'm not sure who.
Still got all of our runners.
Yeah, we still got all the runners, so we had a yellow flag there, but not sure what it was for. So just about maybe 3 or 4 laps left to go now. It's looking very much like Wilkes has run away with 28-second lead now. It would take a massive incident for him to lose this race, but obviously never say never. This is endurance racing, I suppose.
Long overdue a win, but I think he will be delighted to do it if he does cross the line, of course, not counting any chickens. But it has been a dominant performance, and the manner of the way that he's run off into the distance will have pleased him no end, I think.
Absolutely, that Aston Martin has been incredible in the wet, and driver behind it just as incredible as he goes past another lap back marker. He's just got absolutely dominating. You know, he's from qualifying to flag to potentially to finish. You know, he's not let up at all. He's just been unrelenting pace. You know, lap after lap.
Yeah, now Ash Coupland is closing on Paul Lindsay, but I don't feel like he's closing quickly enough to really make a challenge for that final podium position.
Oh no, absolutely. I think we've got too little. It might be too little, too late for him. I think, unfortunately, while it'd be lovely to see this, this final battle, for that podium place, I just don't think there's enough time.
So where have we still got battles? I'll tell you where we have got a battle. Pixley has just gone past Brown, but they are nose to tail in the most recent split. So does that mean that that was a slipstream manoeuvre? There is Pixley. And there is Brown. Oh, it was into Lacombe, I think he got that done.
It looks like traffic may have had a little bit of a play in it, because there you go. There's two of the lapping cars behind that I was saying about, and yeah, this is just going to allow him to pull away now, because you know, in the absence of Anthony behind him pressuring him, he's just been pulling away.
Yeah, so, well, the move must have been completed before the lap traffic got there, because otherwise he would have had to get out the way as well, because he was running behind Brown at that point, and in fact he's not deviating from his line, is he, Richard Pixley? So
oh no, he's absolutely not. Which is interesting.
See now
because
is forcing Kozerski to go the long way round, which he does. And
that
just
Wilkes?
behind him, I think that was Wilkes as well. Yeah.
That's the only. I know it's the only SimSport car, so yeah, he's the leader.
Flashing his lights at Kozerski. I don't agree with that. I think he was the one that should have been getting out of the way there personally, but
Yeah.
I'm not a steward.
I think you're absolutely right in saying that. I think as a slower car, regardless of what position's overtaking you, if you're being overtaken by a faster or higher class, you just overtake. You know, you just let them through. Same way it's now about to let Wilkes through. You just let them through. You don't fight them. You don't argue. It's easier. You run your own race, and you know, you have more fun.
Yeah, although the net result of all of this is that he has passed Anthony Brown for second place in class. So I said at the start it would be about damage limitation. He has absolutely done that by getting himself back up to second place after being dead last at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, and I mean, again, interestingly, you know, drivers have had. There's been a few accidents here and there, but most of them have been off of obviously a driver error on their own. You know, nobody's come over and pushed them off, or nobody's come over and, you know, ruined the race. They've just
not that we've seen on stream, certainly.
Obviously, yeah, not that we've seen ourselves, but from what we've seen, it's been pretty, you know, respectful from everybody, and it's incredible to see, because, you know, it means that we get these amazing battles and we get these amazing moments where, you know, you have a few drivers all of a sudden fighting each other. Actually, speaking of, JP McKinley is right on the back of Rob Jackson.
Oh wow! So yeah, Rob Jackson. This is his. He's had a very up and down race, hasn't he? So was challenging up there for fourth position, and now finds himself. I think
that might have been our yellow flag from earlier, because look at the damage on the front of that Aston. It's flapping its bonnet.
Yes.
Bonnet catches are barely holding there. But yeah, so JP now has the opportunity to go for sixth, which he'll be ecstatic with. You know, starting quite far down the grid, finishing sixth, he'll be happy with.
Well, finishing any position in the top 10, he'd be more than happy with.
Absolutely.
Now, I've got word that we may be able to talk to Callum McGough. So let's just see if we can drag him in. Just very quickly. Good evening, Callum McGough. Who is on mute?
He's on mute indeed. Yeah, we'll give him one moment as we get to the last 3 minutes. Paul Lindsay has closed up on Ryan Rees, so this could be interesting.
Oh, now that must have been a mistake for Ryan then, because he had a 10-second advantage or so over Paul Lindsay.
See if we can quickly find him. There he is. No damage to the car, but there you go. There's Paul Lindsay right in the background. So yeah, so whatever's happened to that Bentley, I'm not quite sure, but all of a sudden that podium, the second place, almost looked set. All of a sudden it doesn't look so set.
Yeah, late race scare. It's yeah, the car's moving all right, isn't it? It doesn't look like it's got any issues.
No, absolutely, it doesn't look bad at all. It's slight technical difficulties. I do apologise. I think we've lost Toby. Are we back?
Oh, you still got me. Still got me.
Oh, we still got you. My Discord just almost crashed then. I was like panicking thinking it had crashed. But yeah, as we get towards the last minute.
Traffic did not work out at all for Paul Lindsay there, unfortunately. No. Absolutely nothing that McGee
there
did
you
wrong
go.
there.
You see that, you say that, but there he is right on the back already.
I just wonder, has Ryan got a problem then? Because his car's...
fuel. Is it fuel? That's the question. Is he having to lift and coast because of fuel? The Bentley does use an incredible amount of fuel, and that could mean that he's trying to lift and coast. Where is the race leader? Because he won't get lapped in time to do, for the race leader to stop him from doing another lap. But has he got enough fuel to finish this race?
Let's just see if we can briefly grab a word with Callum, because we've now got him on. Callum, good evening.
Oh, hello, I'm here now.
Good evening, yeah.
Not a problem. Just talking about your situation there, yes, Tripp is low on fuel. He called it out with about 20 minutes into the race. He called it out and was like, guys, I'm low on fuel. And he wasn't sure whether he was going to have enough to get to the end of the race.
So, nail-biting final lap in prospect for your teammate. But Callum, I mean, you had great pace here. Unfortunately, it all unravelled in the race. Just talk us through it.
Quali was awkward. Like, I wasn't really on the pace. I've got a feeling Wilkes went out on slicks for his quali. That's why he was so far ahead of us guys on the wet. Because we were watching the GT4 race, and the game prompted us halfway through their qualifying that wet tyres were optimum. So I think the damp conditions for our qualifying enabled him to use the slicks.
Here we go, the move being done. Sorry, just to cut you off, there's the move being done now. There's second place for Ryan Rees disappearing there. He indicated actually to let Lindsay through, so maybe he's just trying to make sure he gets the podium still.
Oh, they've got. Wilkes has just cut the beam. He's just started a new lap, so Ryan's got another full lap to do.
He ain't gonna make it. He ain't got enough. He's not gonna make it.
He won't make it. Unfortunately, that does look like what looked really promising for him, which is going to be really disappointing.
He's slowing down.
Yeah,
he's definitely slowing.
He knew with about 15 minutes into the race. He was on our comms and was like, guys, I'm going to run out of fuel. I guess his fuel calculations in the wet was higher than he expected. And he said, I'm going to run out of fuel in this race. And that extra lap there has properly nailed.
Oh no, Colin's off as well. Colin done off in the final lap.
I'll have to see who's the first driver who's a lap down. I believe it's Radomir Kozerski, so that should put Ryan into 10th place. He will get a top 10 finish. But let's just sit on board with Simon Wilkes. Callum, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry that it was so brief, but we will now sort of see out the end of the race, and we wish you the best of luck in the next one.
But absolutely, and it's just gutting to see, obviously, Ryan Tripp lose so much time there, and potentially, lose what could have also been a race win at one point. It's such a shame. As we see Mark deciding that the lawn needed cutting indeed. Has he got damage? No, I don't think he has. But let's find the race leader again. There he is. He's coming up to the bus stop now, so it's going to be a question of where is Ryan.
Well, let's just focus on Simon Wilkes for the moment, because what a peerless drive this has been for his first win in the Positive Perception GT Series. Simon Wilkes takes the victory at Spa.
Well done.
Thoroughly deserved.
Absolutely, thoroughly deserved. What a run by Simon. Sorry. Just faultless. Absolutely faultless.
I mean, Daragi charging into headbutting.
But the question is, where's Ryan? Let's try and find him now quickly. Is he going to make it to the line? There he is. There's Ash Coupland just behind. You can see him closing massively.
So he's managed to make it last an extra lap, but he knew he had to let Paul Lindsay go. So Lindsay will take second place, and that's his first podium, I believe. So
Absolutely.
congratulations, Paul Lindsay.
But the question
Ryan
is he
Rees,
going to keep the podium?
can he do it? Oh, this is going to be so close. He's going to roll across the line with Ash Coupland big in his mirrors, but I think Ryan Rees is just about going to make it to the line. He does by 1.6 seconds. He takes third place. So Ryan Rees, a deserved podium, but he will have been absolutely sweating that final lap.
It says 0. It says 0, so I believe he did run out of fuel. I know it just unless it says 0 for everybody, but yeah, I think he may have just run out of fuel on the line. But again, absolutely well deserved. You know, from start to finish, he did look like the best of the rest, and it's unfortunate that he ran out of fuel when he did. You know, Paul will be absolutely ecstatic by that.
He will, and it's a well-deserved podium for Paul Lindsay as well. Just to confirm our GT4 result, Jake Mills taking the win from Richard Pixley, but drama at the end. Something's happened to Anthony Brown.
Yeah,
because he's not come
happened?
through in third place. It has been Alex McGee who's come through in third place, and Brown's still running.
Still running, but lost.
He's had that damage before.
4 positions, 4 positions. Yeah.
Yeah, lost a stack of time, which is a great shame because he was on for a podium. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens to him. But that, of course, is the first podium for Alex McGee.
Indeed, absolutely. It's yeah, usual suspects at the top as well. Jake Mills and Richard Pixley in those Porsches. Clearly, those are the two dominant forces of the GT4 category so far.
Pixley will be very happy with that, particularly seeing his rival Anthony Brown. Well, we don't know what happened on the final lap, but yeah, dropping a podium.
It's yeah, so interesting. That will mean that the gap will close by 5 points, but that's it. It'll only close at the top of the championship for Jake Mills by 5 points, as opposed to the 10 he would have gained previously. But he won't be upset by that. I think he'll still be happy with what he got. You know, at the top. On the other hand, the GT3. If we can try and quickly find the results, that will definitely promote Simon to the top. Quite a big margin at the top as well, because he'll be on 126 points. That's 18 more than Pappen. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting again. Obviously, with that dropped round, it makes it even harder for the Frenchman to obviously take the win.
Yeah, well, we will see what happens next time we go racing in Nürburgring. But let's see if we can get a word with our top 3 in both classes. And I'm delighted to say that the first person we are joined by will be Ryan Rees. So let's pull Ryan in. Ryan Rees, third place. Congratulations! But those last 2 laps must have been the tensest 2 laps of recent times for you.
I finished with 0.1 litres left, man. That was. I don't know. I just messed that up, man. From 15 minutes in, I was like, "Oh God, I don't have enough." My fuel consumption was like, it was telling me it was 0.5 litres a lap more than what I was doing in quali. I just didn't understand it. So from that point on, I was like, "Oh God, I've got to change engine maps. I've got to, upshift early. I've got to lift and coast." It was that wasn't fun.
Green light.
I'll be honest, that was not fun. But
But you only lost 1 place. I mean, fair play. That was really well judged, or really lucky, one of the two. But
I think a combination of the two, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought I had not enough to catch Wilkes, like if I was going full blast, but I would definitely kept second. Oh man, I'm gutted.
but a podium nonetheless. And I mean, it would have been great to see you in second place, obviously, and well deserved. But you probably, hopefully, still pleased with third.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. It looks wicked on the championship table. I don't know. I think Wilkes might have the lead now. And before I go any further, I think I should say congratulations to him. I mean, he was absolutely rapid here today. Fair play. So yeah, if I'm obviously still up there in the championship, I'll just keep going. As long as I stay out of trouble, everything should be good.
Congratulations, and yes, look forward to seeing you up in the top 3 again. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Okay, we're going to have a chat with our second place finisher now, Simon I've pulled the wrong person in, but let's talk to Simon anyway. Our race winner, Simon Wilkes. Congratulations, Simon.
Thank you.
Now, we may only be 4 races into this series, but that victory to me feels like it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. The last couple of races, I wasn't really in contention for the win, but if there was any race that I could have won, it would have been Kyalami, round 1.
Yes, we saw you had, I think it was a pit stop issue at Kyalami.
Yeah, the less said about that, the best, I think.
Well, yes, I remember it was a bit of a multi-pit stop issue, but yes, on to Spa anyway. And I mean, right from the get-go, right from qualifying, you had this firmly under control. That's a margin of victory you must be really happy with.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I was a little bit surprised to have such a gap to everybody else, but the car was just sweet straight away. So
Now, there was some talk that you went out on slicks in qualifying. Is that the case, or were you just rapid in the wet?
well, I wouldn't say rapid, but I was on wet tyres. Yes.
Ah, fantastic, and yes, carried that through to the race. I mean, you were relatively untroubled. Were there any moments where you thought that you might have to get your head down a bit, or was it pretty much plain sailing for you?
Well, I was head down all the way through. Actually, I didn't really let off much at all. I did think I was going to have more trouble with the McLaren at the start, but I guess something must have happened.
Yes, and I think for Callum's sake, we'll not say anything about that. But yeah, I mean, first win of the series, and this will now give you the championship lead as well. With 2 rounds to go, we know that we were missing a couple of key players, but when everyone is back on track for the next round, do you feel like you've got what it takes to keep this pace up and challenge for that overall championship?
I do hope so. But if some of the top runners are back next week, then I don't think the win's on the cards for me. But I should be in the top 5, I hope.
Well, we wish you every luck for future podiums. Thank you, Simon, and best of luck for the next one.
Thank you.
Okay, so let us bring in the driver who I was trying to grab first time, our second place finisher, and certainly on stream, the first podium that we've been able to talk to. It is our pleasure to welcome Paul Lindsay to the commentary box.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
Wow, that was a very controlled race from you, which was always looking likely to yield a podium. But you must have been surprised to see second place suddenly appear on the horizon.
I am, yeah, because I was in a call with someone up until about 10 minutes. I was about 16, 17 seconds behind him, but then I just seen the gap slowly drop and drop. So I just assumed he had damage, but I think he was fuel saving towards the end of the race.
He was, yes. Second place for you. That's a great result. And is that your first podium?
Officially, yes. Pre-race, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, I ended up in the podium on Kyalami due to penalties, but yeah, I was.
Oh, of course, yes. The first time that we've been able to talk to you. Now, I've McRae, my usual colleague, is not here, but he was hoping to ask you the inspiration behind your livery.
It's my favourite anime.
And the anime is?
Darling in the Franks.
I'll be sure to pass that on. he'll be gutted because he's an anime fan as well, of course. He's McRae. So, are we going to see you on the podium again in future races?
Unfortunately, not, because I work night shifts, so I won't. I might be there for Misano, I might not.
Okay, so
unfortunate.
Is this potentially your final outing in the championship then?
It might be, yeah. And I did no rain practice whatsoever. I just jumped in the default, changed.
Well,
I had deflated tires the whole race, and it was interesting.
That's obviously the way to drive Spa in a Porsche.
I had no dry pace whatsoever. I was lacking in pace, so bad.
Well, what a way to sign off if it is your final race. I mean, I sincerely hope that you can join us again, but congratulations on the podium nevertheless.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, guys. Now, I did see Jake Mills kicking around, so our GT4 winner. Let's bring him in to have a quick chat as well. And yeah, welcome to the box. Another race victory for Jake Mills.
Hello, hello. Thank you. Yeah, it's a good one.
Yes. Now that race really was a race of two halves. The first sort of 15, 20 minutes, there were some absolutely cracking battles going on for the lead of GT4, and then they all disappeared. What happened?
I know. I wondered what I was doing wrong at first. I qualified P2 and managed to get past Pixley at the start, and then I wondered what was wrong because I had a queue behind me, and I'm like trying to find a rhythm in the grip and everything, and they're just be attacking me into every single corner. My pressures were pretty bad, pretty low, and yeah, I wasn't. I realised a bit further into the race that you could be a bit more creative with the track limits, and I think that's why people were getting such good runs out of Eau Rouge. But yeah, I think was it Brown behind me must have made a bit of a mistake or something, and then I had a bit of leeway, opened it up to 10 seconds, and then I just played it safe with every GT3 and brought it home.
Yeah, and we've got 3 on the bounce for you now. Certainly, I mean, missing that first race for you has really made this championship interesting. You're closing down the guys ahead of you. Do you think there's enough points differential in the remaining races for you to challenge for that title?
I mean, that's the plan. I'd very much like to, but yeah, I was really looking forward to race 1, and I had to pull out because of other stuff. But yeah, it's been great since then. Obviously, I didn't get to speak to you guys round 2 because there was no stream, and round 3 I had to shoot off straight after the race. So good to finally be able to talk about my three on the bounce. It's good fun.
And it's great to talk to you. Had you done any wet weather practice before Spa?
No, I hadn't done Spa in the wet at all until qualifying. I'd done a little bit in the dry, and that was it. So yeah, sort of thrown in the deep end a bit. That's why I played it super safe. And
very much learning as you go. But what a result! Thank you, and congratulations to our race winner in GT4, Jake Mills.
Thank you.
Well done, Jake.
Cheers.
Delighted to be joined by our second place finisher, Richard Pixley, who I think has been in every single position in the GT4 field over the course of this race. Richard, that was an exciting one for you.
Yeah, you could say that. It wasn't the best of starts yet again.
What happened at the start? Because unfortunately, we missed the incident that dropped you to the back.
I've just had a look with Mark. I believe I hit him, so there may be a bit of a steward's investigation into that, but hopefully nothing comes of it and I keep second, but we'll see.
So awaiting the outcome of judicials, but nonetheless, what a fight back drive. I mean, you must have been buzzing when you came across the line in second place.
Yeah, obviously I want the win, but Jake's pace is just another level really for me. It's just the consistency outdoes me every time. And that's why he's got the 3 first in the last 3 races, so I'm sure if it was the race, I'm sure that would have been his as well, but who knows?
We were just discussing actually. He's very much sort of closing down the gap, but you've got a points advantage at the moment, and that race was a really damage limitation, and you've minimised the points loss. How are you feeling about the last 2 races? Do you think you can keep him at bay?
If I keep doing the fastest lap and the pole position, then I hope to keep that deficit in place. But who knows? Next round could all change. Maybe. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, what are your thoughts on the Nürburgring and Misano? Are those both tracks that you know and enjoy, or is it a bit unknown? I mean, Misano's one that I've never driven personally.
Nürburgring, I don't think I've ever drove in a GT4 around there, so I'll have to do a bit of practice for that. Mazzano I have, but in a different car, so it'll be all
Fair enough.
both learning curves.
Well, I mean, it's setting up a fantastic finale to the season in GT4, so we very much look forward to seeing how that unfolds. And yeah, subject to judicial inquiries, congratulations on a well-earned and well-fought-for second place.
Thank you, and congrats to Jake, and I believe it was Mr. Rogers in third. I missed that result, but
It's
congrats to you.
Alex McGee, I think.
was it
Yeah, I
Alex?
believe it
Oh,
was Alex
congrats
McGee.
to
It was
Alex.
Alex McGee.
Slightly chaotic final lap. We didn't see what happened, but all of a sudden Alex came across the line in third. So unfortunately, I don't think we've got a chance to talk to him. He's declined to come and join us, which is absolutely fine. But yes, it will be interesting to watch the replay back and see exactly what happened on that final lap in GT4.
Yeah, thank you guys.
No
Thanks.
worries.
Well done. Well, that brings us to the end of a really good and really interesting race at Spa. Very much unlike a lot of the others that we've watched. And Adam, for you to be present in the box for this one. Not so much battling as we've seen in previous races, particularly in the GT3 class. But it certainly had its moments, and particularly in GT4, a really, really fascinating ebb and flow throughout the race.
Absolutely. Again, I think you look at Spa, you look at tracks which are very long, you very much, it's a struggle to find that time between each other. In qualifying it's only over one lap, but over an hour long race, that 1 or 2 seconds, all of a sudden you've got a 30-second deficit between the drivers. But again, we go to Nürburgring next, which is again a long circuit. It's just under 2 minutes a lap, so we should see fairly close racing. Very tight corners, and I think we could see a great battle with the return, hopefully, of the previous championship leader, Remy Papin, to the top, and also obviously this battle between Pixley and Mills in the Porsches. It could be very interesting indeed.
Yes, I mean, unfortunately, we sort of late in that race, we've lost really Anthony Brown from that championship battle now, and potentially Mark Roddenberry as well, who didn't have a great round. So it does look like it may well be a 2-horse race in GT4 now for the rest of the season.
It absolutely could be, but by no means is the championship over in GT4. Unlike the GT3s with their large grid, anybody could win that one. The GT4s do have a smaller grid, but it by no means obviously is there less competition. I think we could see an upset at the Nürburgring, or even Mazzano. I think Mazzano being a night race, it also does favour the Ginetta quite nicely with the twistier sections, so I wouldn't really count them out as locking out these next 2 races. I'm definitely going to be putting my practice in as well, and hopefully soon enough we'll have a different podium again this time next week.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've seen so many different drivers in GT4 on the podium over the course of this season. Alex McGee being the latest to add his name. So yeah, hopefully we can see you on the podium and interview you from the other side of the fence in one of the remaining rounds.
One can hope indeed. But yeah, like I say, I think once again, brilliant race by everybody, much cleaner than we've seen.
Oh yeah.
And let's just hope going forward it continues. Clean racing proved once again today just how amazing you can race when you don't have to worry about the incidents. So
absolutely. And right, before we sign off then, one last question, Adam. Who's your driver of the day?
In GT4, I've definitely got to give it to Pixley. I think, to be dropped right to the back of the grid and, make his way back up to a second place. That's definitely the best driver of the day by far. GT3, I would say the race winner again, amazing win by him. But adversely, I think, McKinley, his best position, Alistair, his best position. A lot of drivers getting a good position.
Very true.
Maybe, I think, Draghi, who ran a faultless race and got himself back up close to the top 10 again.
Apart from the headbutt. Apart from the
headbutt. But we'll pretend that never happened. But I think he had a great race overall.
Okay, so at least half the GT3 field name checked there. So yeah, lots of good races. But
I think.
Amin Diragi gets Adam Bent's vote.
How about yourself then?
I want to give it to Ryan Rees. Just how on earth he managed to get that car across the line and in a podium position as well, having known from 15 minutes in he was going to run out of fuel.
Again, yeah, I think absolutely he's done a brilliant job, and by no means am I taken away from him. It's just really unfortunate that he knew early on that he just wasn't going to have that opportunity to fight for the win. I think deep down he knows that the win is there, and I think for the next round I wouldn't count him out from the win. So,
yeah, well, we've got that to look forward to, of course, and well, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing the box with you, Adam. I very much hope to see you out on track at the next round, but equally, I am sure we will have the pleasure of your company again in the future.
Absolutely. Pleasure as always.
For all of our regular viewers and listeners, thank you very much for tuning in to round 4 of the Positive Perception GT Series on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We are back next week for round 5, coming to you from the Nürburgring.